Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, Facebook. And sometimes I get on a roll. I'm reading. I get some good topics, and I just can't wait to share them with everybody. It's 8 o'clock. It's Tuesday morning. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Tuesday morning, or whatever day it is you're watching this. Today, I want to talk about designing your life. Let's fix that a little bit there, so you can see my beautiful face. All right, let's talk about designing your life. Arnold did a speech recently, Schwarzenegger, as if there's any other Arnold, for the graduates of 2020, and he started off by talking about the coronavirus and how the coronavirus is an obstacle. It's true, the coronavirus is an obstacle, but it's not the first obstacle you will face in your life, and most certainly not the last. And what I want to talk about today is designing your life. Designing your life. Each of us is responsible for designing our life. If you do not design your life, somebody else will design it for you, and you may not like that outcome. That's the truth, right? So how do you design your life? Step one, have a clear picture for the future. Jim Rohn says the promise of the future. What is the promise of your future? What do you believe you can accomplish? I'll share a quick story. One of my coworkers, when I was a police officer in Washington, D.C., was a Jamaican immigrant, Jerry. He immigrated from Jamaica to Brownsville, Brooklyn in the 1980s and 90s. Brownsville was pretty much the most violent neighborhood in the entire country, known for drugs and gangs. Jerry had a tough life, and when I'm this suburban white kid, moved to D.C., became a police officer in an all-black neighborhood, mostly minority neighborhood, and I just didn't have any shared experience. And I would ask him, help me to understand what it was like. How did you end up a police officer? And I believe his brother was deported for drugs. And, he would tell me stories of seeing murders happen. And it's like, how did you end up from Brownsville, Brooklyn to a police officer on a SWAT team in Washington, D.C.? What was it like? Give me some insight. And he would say, man, when I was a kid, I wouldn't think about anything but right now. You want to talk about mindfulness? Ask a kid in an inner city neighborhood. He's like, I didn't know if I would have dinner. I didn't know if I would live till tomorrow. And he's like, and I was 8. The only thing I thought about was, if I looked to my left, I saw the end of my block, and I looked to the right, I saw the end of my block. I thought of my street, my neighborhood, my gang, my people, and nothing else, right? I didn't know that I would survive today. And he's like, I can't tell you why at some point I just believed I could and made it out. And I can't tell you why some people don't make it out. But at that time in my life, I didn't believe anything was possible. And that really stuck with me. It made a really dramatic impact on my life. And that the promise of the future, do you believe that you can achieve anything that you want? Do you truly believe it? Do you think it's possible? I'll tell you right now, for some people, depending on your circumstances, I think circumstances do largely have an effect on where you can end up. But if you don't believe it's possible, regardless of your circumstances, I can tell you right now that you will not achieve it. For sure. Have a clear picture for the future. The promise of the future is a great motivator. When you believe that you can actually achieve that promise that your future holds, it can be a great motivator. And knowing exactly what you want and asking those right questions. Because life will give you what you ask for. There's a poem I posted on my Instagram today, and the last 2 lines, I read it really quick. The last 2 lines talks about that life will give you what you ask for. That any wage I had asked for in life, that life would have willingly paid. Life will pay you what you think you're worth. If you don't think you're worth much, life's not going to give you much, right? If you don't think you're a 10, you'll never be a 10. If you think you're a 6, that's the highest you'll ever reach. If you don't think you can lose the weight, you ain't ever going to lose it. If you don't think you can get that job, you ain't ever going to get it. If you don't think you can get the girl or the guy, you ain't ever going to get them. Life will give you what you ask for. It is a great quote. It is only the people who believe that they can change the world that actually do it. So, if I were to say the 3 steps for designing your life, what are the 3 steps? Step 1 would be to have a clear picture for the future, of what your future could bring for you. Now, I say can because step 2 is focus, and without focus, you will not achieve any vision that you have. Work-life balance. This is a popular buzzword. In the 1980s, it didn't really exist. Now, in the 1980s, half of all women entered the workforce, and suddenly we went from homes with one breadwinner and one homemaker to homes with 2 breadwinners. And between 1984 and 1994, the work-life balance, that would only appeared in articles about 36 times. Okay, this is according to LexisNexis. In the next 10 years, it would be written about almost 2,000 times. 2,000 times. Now, here's the secret you may not want to hear. Work-life balance does not actually exist. Mozart did not become one of the greatest composers in the history of humankind by working 2 hours a day in the gym and 2 hours a day on a foreign language and spending 2 hours of quality time with his family and then playing the piano. Like, it just didn't happen. Career Navy SEALs are not known for their great marriages. How can you focus on your family when you're deployed 9 months a year? I mean, you could say with Zoom calls and stuff, that helps, but come on. If you truly want to be world class at something, if you truly want that, I do not begrudge anybody that wants to be world class at something. I have big dreams, but work-life balance, it doesn't exist. Okay? It just doesn't exist. So what does the promise of your future look like? Well, are you trying to change the world? Do you want to have a successful job that you love and a great family that you enjoy spending time with? I think that that's probably the American dream, the great American dream. When people want to be successful, it's not to change the world, though there are people that want to change the world, and I don't want to begrudge that at all. I love that, but I think most people just want to have a job they love, going to work every day, and have a great family they love spending time with, and that's their idea of work-life balance. Do you want to build an incredible business that influences thousands of people? Do you want to compete in a physique competition? Do you want to lose 150 pounds because, your doctor said you might die? Balance is not a noun. Balance is a verb. It's an act. It's something that you're constantly doing, and you do it based on your priorities, and that you will actually always be out of balance. That's true balance. And it will be based on your priorities. If your goal is to have a great job that you love and a great family that you love spending time with, and you screw up your priorities or your balance, then when you're working, when you're a careerist, when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, your life will be the day will be too short. The day will be too short, and you'll always be asking yourself, where is there more time? There's just not enough time in the day. And when you finally retire, the life will be too long because you will be alone. Your kids will be out of the nest. If you want to lose 150 pounds, then your priorities must shift. You cannot be balanced and spend time with your friends and go to the bar and watch the Netflix series and go to the gym and go grocery shopping and meal prep for the week and meet with your personal trainer and read books on personal development and self-discipline. It's not going to happen. You must shift your priorities. You must skew them. You must create a new balance. And that balance is out of balance, where your focus is on the task at hand. The losing 150 pounds, right? And I use this as an example. This isn't addressed to anybody or any group of people specifically, okay? And if you do not shift your balance towards losing that weight, then your death may not come as a surprise to the people in your life if you're 150 pounds overweight, right? And we could say the same thing if you want to be a physique competitor and you want to win a physique competition. If you got to lose 10 extra pounds and you've got to drop all this water weight and you've got to shred your body up, you're not going to the bar with your friends, right? But if you are, you're going to be out of balance, because when you do go to that bar, you better be bringing your Tupperware of measured food and drinking water, right? So balance is an act that we perform. I have a great analogy for you. I read it in a book this morning. Imagine juggling. Some of the balls that you are juggling are made of fragile crystal glass. Some of them are made of hard marble, and others are made of rubber. Drop a rubber ball and what happens? It bounces, right? Drop a marble ball and what happens? Well, it gets chipped or damaged. Drop it enough times and maybe it breaks. Drop a crystal ball and what happens? It shatters. The priorities in your life, put them into a category. Are they a crystal ball or are they made of rubber? Which ones are you really being careful at balancing? Which ones are you really focused on? And which ones are okay to drop? If you don't answer that email at 8 p.m. at night in the middle of the movie that you are watching with your family, what will be the consequences? And if you do answer that email, what will be the consequences? Ask yourself and consider the outcomes. Now, all of this makes sense, I'm sure, but none of this is easy. We're constantly connected in the world today, so utilize help. Ask people to help you, and be humble, because if you're not willing to allow somebody else to help you, to be critical, if you're not allowed to hear the feedback and actually allow it to help you, then even if you desire to grow, you never will. Now, if the first step is to have a clear vision, And the second step is to focus, and the third and final step must be to act, to take that first step. But why is this so goddamn fucking hard? Nearly everybody has heard of the Chinese proverb, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. But so many people are afraid to take that first step. I think it's because of the fear of failure or judgment, right? Or the fear of loss. They fear if you walk in the wrong direction, and when I say they, I really should say is we, because me, of course, too. Fear that if you walk in the wrong direction, you'll end up 1,000 miles away from your goal instead of at your goal. Taking a step in the wrong direction is failure. It is a mistake. But true failure is failing to learn from that mistake and correct yourself on the next step. So that you step to the left, you realize it's the wrong step, and then suddenly take a step to the right and you head back in that direction. What's the point? I believe many people are afraid of the first step because they are afraid of failure, of the label, of disappointing those who love them. But I can say with certainty, as somebody who's failed more times than I could possibly count, to the tune of tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, to the tune of personal embarrassment, to the tune of many things that I just would hate other people to know. Failure. Many times in my life. A true failure is only the failure to learn from our failures, and I call that failing at failing. Don't be afraid to fail. It is an unavoidable consequence of the process, but it is our best teacher. You will gain weight on a weight loss journey. You will get fired on your quest to find your best job. You will be punched in the face on your quest to get your black belt. You will crash your car if you're trying to be a racer. You will miss that shot if you're trying to be a great basketball player. You will break your heart on the quest to fall in love. Yes, step 3 is to take action, but don't forget the asterisks on that. Don't be afraid to fail. I'll leave you with this. What balls are you juggling today? And what are they made of? Happy Tuesday, guys. I hope there was something valuable in this lesson today, if anybody even watching these videos. And I'll talk to y'all later.